Where were you 4 years ago on the night of January 7th?
Honestly, Mr. Allen, I have no idea. How far back does this investigation of yours go?
I'm not at liberty to discuss that with you. Also, do you ever use public transit?
What, like the subway? I mean, imagine me in a wheelchair.
More like a bus.
Is this really necessary?
I'm just being thorough.
Fine. I prefer Lyft. They're wheelchair friendly. Honestly, Mr. Allen, how are my vehicle options important or a date I can hardly remember?
I'm just trying to establish a timeline, solve a mystery.
Mysteries are for novelists and archaeologists. You were supposed to be ruling me out as a suspect. Instead, it seems like you've got your guy.
Oh, no, this is just procedure.
Feels like persecution. Now, can I get back to you, or do I need to accompany you downtown?
No, of course not. Just email me. Sorry to bother you. Hey, what's going on?
I think we know who he is.
The name we're looking for is Clifford. Clifford DeVoe.
For once, we actually have a chance here to get ahead of our enemy.
She sees that it's interfering with his work. You're not acting the way that you normally do.
Look, Savitar and Kadabra warned us about someone named DeVoe. This DeVoe guy could be behind everything.
Barry, is there a possibility that you are so determined to find the bad guy and get ahead of everything that you're seeing things exactly the way you want to see them?
No.
It seems like he's getting a little crazed about this guy. So I think more than anything, Iris is just concerned he's taking it too far.
Oh my God, I don't understand why you don't see what's going on. He probably has cameras everywhere, at the lab, at CCPD. I mean, he's always watching us.
When I left Earth, I went through some kind of wormhole. Coral calls it a disruption, and it took me to the future. And I've been living on Earth in the 31st century for the past 7 years.
It explains why he's not allergic to lead anymore.
L-Corp develops a cure about 400 years from now.
Hey everybody, we got new Flash, let's break it down. And there is a new round of the Flash Ring giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber, leave a comment on the video. I'll announce a new winner at the end of this. And yes, we finally have Legion of Superheroes on the DC TV show, so I'll also explain how that's going to work, because they are bringing Brainiac 5 onto the shows. So we'll finally have a legit version of Brainiac, but we finally have Flash versus the Thinker. But the thing is that he doesn't know anything about Mobius Chair Thinker. He only knows about this DeVoe person that he came to at his house. So he's a college professor. He's just like slowly trying to piece a timeline together of where he was when the particle accelerator went off, and then separately when the bus incident happened. Like he's trying to ascertain when he may have gotten powers. Like that's how he thinks this is happening. So he's not completely wrong, and we saw that other trailer where he's, in the foreground with all these protesters in the background, and you see that flash effect where the Speed Force is nearby and all the liquids start to raise up. So I've said it before, but I think the idea is that he was actually at Star Labs when the original particle accelerator explosion went off, and that's how he got hit with the dark matter wave, but he was not in the wheelchair at the time. So obviously the Thinker is lying through his teeth to Barry, like, oh, I can't take public transit. I can only take the lift because of my wheelchair. So in the way that they're doing a lot of callbacks to season 1 this season, they're also calling back to Harrison Wells being the fake cripple riding around in the wheelchair just because he was using it to try and absorb more Speed Force. So in those other scenes in the last trailer, we saw the thinking cap lying on the pavement and he slowly puts it on, but that's the last we see of it. So there's just like a slow evolution of the Thinker in flashbacks that we'll probably get maybe through his perspective. Because I think we're past the point where Barry would just willingly travel back into the past and worry about messing with things again, Flashpoint style. Because that would really be the best way to search the crime scene. Like you go back into the past 4 years and run around while the blast is going off and just see if he's in the crowd somewhere. You can already imagine the look on Jay Garrick's face if he were to do something like that. So that's why they're giving him a villain that's more of a Sherlock Holmes situation. Like he actually has to use his ability as a CSI. And you've seen that in the first couple of episodes too, where he starts rattling off a lot of tech speak. But the really cool thing about this week's episode, and obviously the crossover is next week, but the stuff that's happening after the crossover is that we're finally into the Thinker storyline. We've got like a little bit of him in each episode, but this is where they really start going at each other. And you can see it's slowly driving Barry crazy because nobody else believes him. The actor that plays Jesse Martin, though, also talked about Joe trying to get one step ahead of the Thinker, and they've only shot up to like episode 12, I think. I don't think they're past episode 12 at this point. So the good news is that sometime in the next couple of episodes, the rest of the team will believe Barry. Something will happen, so they're not going to push this too hard. This situation where nobody believes Barry and he has no way to prove it, that can wind up being really frustrating for audiences. Like when one character has all the information and the rest of his friends don't believe him. They've done that in previous seasons, like when everybody's lying to each other. That's why they sort of blew past that with the Killer Frost storyline this season, where she just like comes clean to them right away. So like you can be on the team, she can do the Killer Frost stuff. So the same thing is going to happen with the Thinker storyline. And the thing that people may have forgotten is that Barry still has all those symbols that he wrote when he came out of the Speed Force. It's basically a timeline of everything that's happened or is going to happen. They just haven't mentioned it in the last couple of episodes. So the evidence to take down the Thinker and out him and solve, whatever big problem that the Thinker is trying to use the Flash for is in those symbols. But in order for them to figure that out, they have to decode more of the symbols and then have a couple of them hear one of the things come to pass. Like when he says, "This house is bitchin'," like they actually have to hear somebody say that. Hey, wait a minute, that was Barry's symbols. Maybe we should see if there's something else in those, so we'll start decoding them more. So if you think it's funny that they haven't referred to those symbols in a while, they're probably going to bring those back relatively soon. And we haven't seen them decode any of those symbols within eyeshot of the Samuroid head. So it seems like the Thinker does not know about all of these symbols that Barry wrote down yet. But I'm sure that eventually all that information will get out by the back half of the season. But there's just still so many questions when it comes to Mobius chair Thinker and wheelchair Thinker, because he doesn't have any of the symbols carved into his forehead, he's not wearing any tech gear, and his actual house looks like a normal house. So I'm wondering what the thinking cap has to do with this. But in the comics, the thinking cap is this really classic old thing that just enables him to control other technology. So we'll see what the thinking cap of the TV show does. But because we're getting ready for the big Fortnite crossover, there might be some more footage for that tonight. So if we get some new stuff, then I'll try to work that into the videos. We've gotten one new look at the Reverse Flash of the crossover, the Blitzen Flash, but it's been really blurry, so I'm expecting the next couple of trailers that we get to actually show him a little bit more. But usually what happens with TV is that they take up to like the last couple of days to finish all of the CG, score it, and like everything that they need to broadcast it. So the biggest reason why they haven't shown you a lot of new Reverse Flash is because they're just not done with that post-production yet. But that should happen pretty quickly. And the thing is I'm also working on a new Justice League deleted scenes video, so that will be next. But let me know in the comments, what's your theory about the difference between Mobius chair Thinker and wheelchair Thinker? Like, what is the connection? Because very clearly, it's the same person. It's not like he has a twin brother who's this version of the Thinker and he's this other version. It's got to be one person. So there has to be some way for him to be both of these people. But I have a feeling that his wheelchair condition has something to do with what he was doing with the thinking cap in these flashbacks. The whole thing with the Legion of Superheroes, if you haven't been watching Supergirl, is that they just found a ship in the harbor that's been there for 12,000 years. They have all these mystery pods. They've only opened Saturn Girls. She's just one of the core members of the Legion of Superheroes. So this is the Mon-El roster. Brainiac's symbol is in the background here, so very clearly they're going to thaw him out pretty soon, but all of these symbols represent the different members. But I'll post that Justice League deleted scenes video in the next couple of hours before the Flash episode, then I'll post my Flash episode video. So we'll say congratulations to the latest Flash Ring giveaway winner, Samuel Thomas 101. Please private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. There'll be a new round when I post that Justice League video in a little while. You can click here for the big crossover trailer, and you can click here for all my Justice League Easter eggs. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.